Ladies and gentlemen, Cuphead is finally upon us after all these years. I've been excited for this game since it was first announced at E3 in 2014, and I didn't think it would see the light of day, but here we are, we have Cuphead. Cuphead is a 2D run-and-gun styled shooter which focuses heavily on boss battles. If you've played games like Contra or games like Metal Slug, the game will be instantly familiar to you. Before I talk about the gameplay, what I liked and didn't like about it, let's just get the visuals out of the way. This game is a remarkable achievement from an artistic standpoint. The team went out of their way to make Cuphead look like a 1930s cartoon, and they nailed it to a T. It's perfect. Every single frame of the game is hand-drawn and hand-inked. There's nothing digital about it, it's all done on paper, and it took the team years to draw this game, and it is a remarkable achievement. The game looks absolutely beautiful. This is some of the best artwork I've ever seen in a video game. And as far as I'm aware, no video game ever made has attempted to do this art style, to have a 1930s really old-fashioned cartoon style, apart from that one level from Mickey Mouse's Wild Adventure for the PlayStation. So we've got that out of the way. Undisputably, this game is a 10 out of 10 visually. As for the soundtrack, it's also incredible. Big band, bombastic, old school jazz music floods the entire game. It sounds incredible. You may be surprised to hear that Cuphead has a storyline. It's very minimal, but that's absolutely fine because it leaves plenty of room for the gameplay. So the story here is that Cuphead and his brother Mugman have made a deal with the devil by accident. They get involved with some gambling, they lose a game to the devil, they are then in his debt, so they have to carry out his deeds. This basically serves as an excuse to get Mugman and Cuphead to fight all these different bosses for the devil. Only then can they repay the debt. Now if you've played 2D shooter platformers before, then Cuphead will feel instantly familiar to you. You run to the right and you shoot everything in your path. Enemies come from above, behind, in front of you. But this style of gameplay is mostly seen on the side missions, which I'll get to in a moment. The game focuses primarily on the boss battles and not as much on the 2D platforming sections. It's very interesting to note before we go on that the game was originally intended to be a boss rush styled game, entirely focused on boss battles, but the team redesigned the game. They had a few design changes and they decided to add some 2D platforming levels in. Now these levels really do remind me of Contra Hard Corps. It's very similar in that you have things coming at you all the time. It's really tough. Even the first level is hard, and I really like this because they understand these games. They understand these NES shooters, these really crushingly difficult games. You're able to jump, you're able to dash, you're able to shoot in 8 different directions. And you can also parry attacks, which brings me to my point of the controls. For the most part, the controls are smooth and they are responsive, but I have 2 problems with them. So first of all, I want to talk about that parry attack. So what you're able to do in the game is parry any object in the world that is pink. This can be an enemy or a projectile, whatever it is. If you hit it, you can parry it, which will build a super meter. You can then do a special move with the meter. Now when you parry, you need to jump into the air to hit the pink object, which sounds easy enough, right? But there's something I don't like about it. After you've jumped in the air, you have to press A again whilst you're in the air to slap. Now, the way I'm looking at how it plays, if you jump and you've hit it in the air, it should automatically just pass through, because it just doesn't feel right to me personally. I know there could be some disagreement there, and I'm okay to have discussion on that. It doesn't feel right to me that you have to jump and whilst you're in the air press the jump button again in timing with it. It just feels like you should be able to jump and slap automatically, and I thought initially when I saw gameplay of the game that it would automatically slap. It takes a while to get used to, and I got used to it, but I would prefer it if you did automatically parry slap when you jumped. Now the second thing is the shooting in different directions. You're able to press R1 or RB, wherever it is. I'm using a controller, and you can stand in your current position, you stand dead still, and you can then aim in all 8 directions. The problem I had with this, I noticed this more in the boss battles when the boss sends out the little minions. I found it extremely difficult to hit the minions and aim directly where I'm at, because it's very specific where you can aim, and because the enemies, they have completely free-form movement, you can't actually hit the enemies at certain angles, and it's kind of unfair. Like, there's nothing you can really do about it. You kind of have to take the hit or just hope that you hit them from the angle you're at. I found this quite a problem in the floral plant boss, where I couldn't aim at the enemies even whilst I was standing still. Using this system where you can aim in the 8 directions, it just feels a little bit unfair. As far as negatives go though, this is the only negative I have to say about the game, is those slight hindrances with the controls. Each of the bosses is incredibly creative, they're incredibly exciting, they require a lot of learning from you, they require you to be patient, you will die a lot, and that's the beauty of this game. This game is designed to be difficult, it's designed to make you get angry at it and get better and learn the patterns, and each of the patterns that the bosses do are randomized, and they will throw them at you at completely random patterns. So individually you will learn these patterns, and when the time comes that the bosses use them, you'll be equipped for them, and it constantly keeps you on your toes. This game is not for you if you are looking for an easy platformer. It's also not for you if you're looking for a game where you can just chillax, this game, it needs you to focus, it needs you to concentrate, it really is hardcore, and if you want a challenge, I can't recommend this game enough. This is one of the best platformers we have seen in a very, very long time. We had Sonic Mania not too long ago, and now we have Cuphead. These games are absolutely fantastic, and they show us that old school game design, when with some tweaks and refinement, can offer an extremely fresh, creative, challenging experience. I'll be honest in saying that the 2D platformer levels, whilst they are fun, they are not as enjoyable or as memorable as the boss battles, in my opinion. All of the boss battles that I've played in the game are phenomenal. They are beautifully designed. They have incredibly intricate and well thought out attack patterns that you need to learn. Everything about the boss battles is perfection. I can't think of anything that they do wrong with the patterns or anything that's wrongly created, aside from with the controls where you can't aim correctly. But in terms of how the bosses are built, none of them are broken or overpowered or unfair. There are several different weapons that you can unlock in Cuphead that you purchase from the shop. You will need to complete the 2D platforming levels in order to locate coins that allow you to purchase these items. The game includes couch co-op. Sadly, there's no online mode yet. With the couch co-op, both players are able to purchase items and they can switch them both on the fly. Cuphead has 4 worlds, and each of them have completely different and unique styles of gameplay inside them with the bosses. For example, some of the bosses require you to fly in a small plane, which reminds me of Metal Slug with the flying stages. Some of the bosses test your ability on using the dash mechanic, some of them test your ability on jumping and timing and aiming. There is always something different here. Even the 2D platforming levels, there's always something different that you're doing. And through my time playing Cuphead, I always wanted to see the next level, I always wanted to see what challenge was coming next. Whenever bosses defeated me, I was determined to learn their patterns and beat them, and the boss battles without question are the strongest point of Cuphead, and they are the most prominent and fleshed out point. But that's not to discredit the 2D platforming sections, because I do enjoy them, but that is not where the game shines, and it's not its primary focus. When it comes to the final verdict, I am very confidently giving Cuphead an 8 out of 10. It would have been a 9 if the controls just had a little bit of tweaking, ever so slightly. They are fantastic for the most part, but it's just the parry slap wasn't quite what I was expecting it to be, and the aiming, I understand that you have to have fixed aiming, but sometimes because of the way the enemies move, you can't always aim exactly where you're looking. If those things were just tweaked slightly, and if the platforming sections were just a bit better, then this game would have been a 9 easily. But this is a solid 8 out of 10. go and buy Cuphead, just do it. You need to play this game. It is a fantastic platformer, and as I said earlier, this and Sonic Mania are two of the best platformers we have seen in a very, very long time. This is all I have now. Bread out.